So if we take a look at this chart here, it's not that impressive at first glance over the last 12 months, but it still reflects a project that's up over 20% in the last year. That kind of 2025 pattern of straight down, unfortunately, is quite common among altcoins in this cycle. But that being said, if you held for a year or more, you did still make some money, over 20% in this case, as I've said. And this particular chart also represents a great project that's kind of floating under the radar. Not all that many people are talking about it, but it's Avalanche. AVAX is the token. This is a classic blue chipper. And today we're looking at how many Avalanche tokens in particular you need to be a millionaire at the height of this crypto cycle. It's probably fewer than you think. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie, and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest, AVAX or otherwise. I wish you well. Just remember that I'm not a financial or investment advisor, nor is this video official financial or investment advice. So what's new with Avalanche these days? Well, as a project, it's got some pretty good updates lately that if you haven't been watching it specifically, like I said, are kind of flying under the radar, but some of these are worth pointing out and are worth celebrating, actually. One of these updates is a stablecoin pilot and launch in South Korea of the KRW, or won on chain. That's their denomination of their currency there. It's probably the biggest and most important currency to not have a functioning stablecoin, actually. And this pilot is going on sometime before the end of the year, so Q4 2025. And then on the institutional front, it looks like Bitwise is going to be the next to apply for an AVAX ETF. They're also quite optimistic and expect an approval as they've already filed to set up a Delaware trust. This is just a common entity to hold and run an ETF in the United States. So that's bullish, the fact that they would bother to set this up before even filing with the SEC in the first place. They're certainly confident. And then something that we've always liked about Avalanche is how, of course, it's not one chain. It is three. This is a model that just makes a lot of sense, especially when it comes to interoperability. It is better than either the Cosmos map of zones model or even the Polkadot parachain model, which they're dumping, by the way. So clearly this, in terms of structure, is winning. To have all EVM activity on one chain, the C chain in the case of Avalanche, just makes a lot of sense. But then to use the platform chain or the P chain to manage the creation of the Avalanche subnets to run their own chains is an even better part of the design. And games, RWA platforms in particular, are really taking advantage of subnets to spin out their own chains quickly, securely, and at very low cost, by the way. FIFA has its own subnet here, so does Toyota, and not too surprisingly, a lot of games do as well. Some examples include Lightning Forge, DeFi Kingdoms, and Off the Grid as well. That's certainly not an exhaustive list, it's kind of just a few examples, but more games are getting their own sovereign blockchains on Avalanche with subnets. And this way, there's no NFT collection or group of DeFi trades clogging up the network. No one is slowing down their transactions. Again, that's great in terms of design, and right now Avalanche is the only project that's doing it in this way. And then lastly, in terms of important updates that I want to mention, stablecoins, of course, are on the rise. In fact, they're up 158% to $1.5 billion on Avalanche. That's just for USDC. So we have a huge ecosystem here. For one reason or another, nobody's really talking about it, but those are great numbers. And I would argue it's a good thing that this has been flying under the radar as a project, that these successes have not been widely celebrated yet, because that's a lack of visibility, but it's also your advantage. You can take on a position now before others notice how much great stuff Avalanche is doing as a project, and before we really begin to see more of that price appreciation for the AVAX token. There's alpha in the lack of hype. I want to do a quick shout out now to Surge, which is a risk-free prediction game on Telegram where you swipe in order to guess whether a project is going to pump or dump. You earn rewards in that process and you pick up some market skills, technical analysis while you're at it. They've also kicked off a daily giveaway. It's very simple. Every day there's a coin of the day. Today it is Chainlink and the LINK token. All you have to do is swipe to find Chainlink on the Surge app, screenshot it, and then drop it under their tweet. One random reply is going to win $10 in USDT. Easy and simple. So check out Surge. Check out the links in the description below. Have some fun swiping, and snag some prizes if you're lucky along the way. All right, so let's switch gears. Let's dive into some technical analysis. But in order to better predict where AVAX could go, what kind of potential it has, I think it's important to analyze where it's been, first of all. As I was discussing in the last year, AVAX is up over 20%. As I record right now, that number is specifically 23.9%. So that's pretty good. I know it looks like kind of a downtrend, but it has recovered versus where it was 12 months ago to the tune of almost 24% in the positive direction. It's actually better than most other altcoins in the market, which is unfortunately an observation that we have to make. But if we zoom out even further and we consider Avalanche and AVAX over the 2-year period from September 2021 to September 2023, you can really see that this was a high-flying project not all that long ago, which is evidence of how much further AVAX can climb as a token, in my opinion. Its all-time high for context was in November of 2021. That was $145. It's sitting right now just below $29 for reference. But from that high point of $145, it went straight down to its recent low 2 years ago, $8.87. That was September 2023. And yeah, of course, if you held on during that 90+% drop, that was a pretty painful chapter. But as it turns out, that $8.87 low has proven to be some very strong support. And ROI since that low is 225%. Actually, a little bit over that to, again, now just below $29. Despite some pretty precipitous drops, the patient holders, for the most part, have been rewarded for holding Avalanche. Resistance points on the way up are $45.50, $54.18, $96.27, and $122, in addition to, of course, the all-time high, $145. Beyond that, we get into price discovery. So if we consider that all-time high, $145, that would be approximately a 6x from where we are here. That would be a huge return, of course. It is doable for this project for AVAX. I would caution that that's not likely for this cycle. Just considering the size of the project, we're already at $12.1 billion in terms of its market cap. So probably not this cycle, but let's get into where we think the price of AVAX is going to go and how many tokens you need to become a millionaire. So we see with Avalanche that it has big projects in stablecoins and RWA, obviously huge names establishing subnets, gaming that's thriving, at some other positives as well. So I want to round down this price here. Instead of $28.90, let's call it $28.50. At those numbers, you're going to need 35,087 AVAX right now, today, at $28.50 to become an AVAX millionaire. Let's now consider the resistance point of $96.27. It's kind of halfway up the points of resistance and would be about a 2.5x from where we are now. At that price, $96.27, you would need 10,387 AVAX to get to $1 million. For the all-time high of $145, again, that's about a 5x from where we are right now. You would need 6,896.5 AVAX for that to be worth $1 million. And at current prices, that means 196,551 right now. That's just what you need to spend today in order to acquire those AVAX tokens at that price, $28.50. Okay, let's consider just really optimistically here a pie in the sky number. Let's say a 10x pump from where we are right now, so a price of $285. I think that's doable, but again, not this cycle. At $285, you would need 3,508, let's call that 3,509 AVAX to hit $1 million. The cost right now would be $100,000. The fact is, Avalanche is one of the leaders in our industry, but it's not one of these projects that's constantly in the headlines when you compare it to some of its peers. And that is your advantage. Use that to your advantage, because when people eventually discover or rediscover AVAX, the price is really going to begin to reflect the quality of this project, I would say faster than the other big cap, the other blue chip projects in cryptocurrency.